And let's start off with Dejan Kulusevski. Romano tweeted a couple of hours ago now saying, Kulusevski to Tottenham, here we go. He'll fly to London today. Total agreement reached with Juventus. Deal will be around 40 million euros plus add-ons, including a loan fee and a blight clause that could become mandatory in the case of Champions League qualification or a certain number of appearances. So Dejan Kulusevski, I mean, you got to remember this guy 2 years ago was proper hot property in Europe. He got a young player of the year in Serie A. He was scoring time and time again for Juventus. Things haven't really worked out in the last year or so, but I think this guy has immense quality. I really believe that. And I think when you're looking at a front three of potentially Kulusevski, Kane and Son, that is mouthwatering to me.
And yeah, he provides a different option in terms of he's a left-footed a player who plays on the right, which we haven't had since Bale last season. Obviously this season, Lucas Moura's predominantly had that role on the right-hand side nailed down, and he's played a very good role. But we haven't had that rotation. We haven't had a player to be able to come in and ease the burden on our front line. There's been a serious pressure on those three to perform every time they play. And now we're adding an extra attacker. He can play down the centre. He can play on the right. He's versatile. He's got a lot of guile about him. He's creative. He's got good passing. He's got decent pace as well. And he's got quality. Unfortunately, I don't know what's happened with him the past year or so at Juventus. For some reason, it's gone very wrong for him. But this is a player with no doubt supreme quality. I think even at the Euros for Sweden, you could see that as well. I thought he had a great Euros when he was involved. You got to remember, he's only 21. He's only 21, so he's still very young. He's got a massive scope to improve. Kane wasn't even in the Tottenham team at this age, was he? He was out on loan, he's still got so much scope to improve, and that's why I would say, as much as I think he will add depth immediately, and I think he will provide an option. Like, I think, for example, he'll have more an impact on games than someone like Gil would right now. I think he's more physically ready for that. For sure. I think he's more able to play right now, but I'm not expecting him to just come in and be a world-class player straight away. I think we're going to have to give him a bit of time to grow. I'm sure that he's going to have some inconsistent performances, but what he does do immediately is add depth to the team, add more options, add a different kind of attacking option on the right-hand side, something we don't have right now. And also, he's creative. I think a lot of people have been complaining about breaking teams down in a low block, and I think he has pretty good close control and pretty good ability to look for creative passes in the final third. So that's going to be a massive plus, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can bring and how Conte can develop him.
Yeah, and when you're looking at the two systems that Conte's worked with us so far, in the 3-4-3 and the 3-5-2, he fits in both of those systems. So in the 3-4-3, he can play that Lucas Moura role on the right-hand side. In a 3-5-2, he can play a bit more of a central role, maybe in the sort of cam position with two players sitting behind him. So I think he's someone that can very much fit into Conte's system, whichever way he likes to play it. I've really been keeping an eye on him for a number of years now. Obviously, in the last year, it hasn't worked out for him for whatever reason it is. Maybe because of Allegri coming in.
Well, they like to play 4-4-2, don't they?
So maybe that's why it hasn't worked out.
You've got to think, where does he really fit in that formation?
But he's also a player that apparently Antonio Conte tried to sign at Inter Milan when just before he went to Juventus. Him and Paratici were fighting to sign him, and obviously Paratici won. He went to Juventus at the end of the day. But look, I think it's a really good signing. And look, when you're talking about, like, is he our first choice, is he our fifth choice, whatever, I think that Spurs have been chasing this guy for a while now. I think that we were linked with him in the last summer. Obviously, nothing happened there. I think that Spurs have been chasing this guy for a bit of time anyway. And when people are saying that, Paratici, all he's doing is buying Juve rejects and blah, blah, blah. But everyone was happy with Romero in the summer, and he was also a Juventus reject. I mean, players leave Juventus and sometimes hit the heights, don't they? I mean, we've seen a number of cases of that happening.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely a case of you don't want to judge him too harshly at 21 years of age just because it hasn't worked out at Juventus. And you've got to remember as well, first of all, we were definitely interested in him, and maybe Juventus were a bit more reluctant to let him go before the whole Vlahovic deal came around, and that only just came around in the past few days. And so they clearly needed to offload players, and maybe it's a case of they're offloading him reluctantly. We don't really know for sure what the case is, but in terms of the deal we've got, Apparently, we're paying a bit more than what Juve paid for him 2 years ago, so they're getting a bit of a profit on him. But I think it's a loan with an obligation only if certain things are met, and so I think that's a smart deal from a Spurs point of view. If we get Champions League football, it's we have to do the obligation, and if he hits a certain number of appearances, we're not sure what that number is. I'm sure it'll come out in the coming days. But I think that's also smart because it means if he's getting the same amount of game time as Bryan Gil, then we don't have to activate the option.
Yeah.
But if he is a serious part of our first team or using him a lot, then we have to. Then his show's going to be worth it.
I think he'll be used a considerable amount more than Bryan Gil.
You'd assume so.
Now until the end of the season, he will be. I think that he'll be fighting Lucas Moura for that role, and I think that he'll see a lot of game time from now until the end of the season. I genuinely believe that, and he's a player with immense quality, and he's a player with a very high ceiling as well. Moving forward into his career, we're nowhere near the peak years of what they say the peak years are like 27, 28.
He's so young, yeah.
He's so young. He's got so much time.
We signed
on his
Lamella
hands.
at 21, didn't we?
Exactly, and with Paratici and Conte at the helm, they know a lot about him and they'll know exactly where to fit him into the system and stuff like that. So I'm very happy with this deal. I really am very happy with this deal, and I'm much more sold on this deal than I am the next deal we're going to talk about.
Yeah, but just quickly on this from Damasio. Talking about the deal, he says 18-month initial loan. So it's an 18-month loan, not 6-month loan. So he'll join on an 18-month initial loan with worth 10 million euros. Spurs then have an obligation to buy for 25 million euros if they qualify for the Champions League. The total fee could exceed 40 million euros if he plays over 50% of his matches.
In the 18 months?
I guess so.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's not a 6-month loan, it's 18-month loan. Well, it's basically a signing at this point.
Levy goes to them, all right, he's going to pay 49% of the games.
And then send it back. So at that point, that's definitely a much more certain in terms of him signing rather than a loan deal. So if it's a 6-month loan with CL and 50%, you're thinking there is a chance he'll be sent back in 6 months' time. But if it's an 18-month loan, it's structured like that.
It's kind of win-win for Spurs, this deal.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, because, try before you buy. If it's not working out, obviously we don't have to.
So it gives us 2 chances to get Champions League, I'm guessing.
This year and next year.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah. So if we hit Champions League in any of these seasons, this year or next year, that's it. We have to buy him.
I guess so. I guess that's what it looks like.
So it's not along with the appearances as well. It's either or.
It says obligation to buy for 25 if they qualify for Champions League, and then I guess the appearance is a clause that if he activates a certain clause, it's an extra 5. Is that 5 million? It's an extra 5 million if he plays over 50%.
Okay. I think it's a really good deal. It's a really good deal.
That seems structured to Tottenham's benefit. I think.
Don't have to spend too much of the budget on right now. Only 10 million of that budget goes now for the loan deal. And if he meets these certain criteria, if we get Champions League or if he plays 50 games, that's it. We have to buy him. But look, I'm happy with that deal. I'm happy with the signing. I'm happy with finally getting bodies in, very much needed in this transfer window. We are 1 day to go until the end of the window, so we have left it late. But it looks as though Kulusevski, well, it doesn't look as though he is going to be a Spurs player, and I can't wait to see him hold up that shirt. Yeah,
I'm very excited about this potential deal. So I do call for a bit of patience, but I think it's a deal that rightly we can get excited about and look forward to in a Tottenham shirt.
And not only is he a young player coming, but he's also a player coming from abroad who's never played English football before. So I think even if a player is 25, 26 coming from abroad that's never played English football, you're going to have a bit of patience. So even more so with a 21-year-old as well. So look, good player, high ceiling, position we needed. He's going to add to the attack as well. He adds creative football from the right-hand side and from the central as well, central position. So it's a deal, very good deal. Good on Paratici and Levy for getting this over the line. You've got to say that. So that is done.